92.3 Nigeria Info FM. Thank you so much for joining us today. And you're right, it's time to untangle the complexities of the business world. How are you doing? How is the money in your pocket? How are your investment? How is the workplace today? 18th day in the month of September. The Ember month is getting really in the middle of it, isn't it? Okay, my name is Choma Ezenwafo and I'm your host on Talking Figures. And today, let's look at the petrol crisis and how it's been shaping the workplace. I mean, whenever you hear about this fuel crisis in Nigeria, just know that the whole economy is in crisis. Small businesses are in crisis. Larger corporations, multinationals are also in crisis. Everyone is affected whenever there is a petrol crisis. The reason that is so is a topic for another day. So from increasing petrol prices to shortages at the pumps, I mean, you find that you'll be wondering, which one are we even having? Because you see that lots of filling stations are still closed. And then the ones open, we'll just be adding 10 naira every day as the day breaks, every day. And then I think currently it's about 1,130 naira. I think that's the last time I bought. I don't know how much you're buying. But it's become even a more particular issue because a lot of people thought that the entry of the Dangote refinery into the energy market, as we saw happen on Sunday, was going to mean that we'll have maybe Nigerians would exhale, perhaps it will bring in, bring down the cost of the product, and then perhaps the inflation and the cost of all the items that we've seen, skyrockets the way we've seen it. But that's not looking like the case, especially because the NNPC, who, they will say that they are the sole off-takers of this product from that Dangote refinery. And then Dangote will say they are not. PIA is saying something else entirely. We'll get to all of that much in maybe some other time, or you could even go listen to my colleagues Andrew and Kala have talked about it. Lots of analysis when it comes to those key issues. But the point I'm trying to help us stay with me on right now is the fact that while all of that is going on, the fact remains that the cost of petrol is still going to be high. Yes. The cheapest is going to be what? I think in the River State is going to be like 980 naira per liter. And that's still not cheap. That's not far from what is being experienced currently. So the ongoing petrol crisis it's already created a ripple effect. We've seen it affect various aspects of the economy. We've seen it affect almost everything. And a lot of people thinking that the entry of Dangote into the energy market was going to change things are quickly realizing that that's not going to be the case. So what does it mean for the average worker, the average Nigerian person who is earning a living and working in Nigeria? What does it even mean for you as a business owner or as an employer? How are companies adjusting their operations? And then more importantly, what role will petrol crisis play in shaping the future of work in Nigeria? Today, we'll be breaking down all of this, and then more especially the impact of petrol crisis on productivity, employee well-being, remote work trends, and even the informal economy. Are businesses finding creative solutions, or are we on the verge of a workplace revolution? We are live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. Yes, share your thoughts with me when it comes to how the petrol crisis is shaping the workplace. We're also on X at Nigeria Info PH. If you're on WhatsApp Pro, yes, shoot me that text. You can drop your messages at 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416. That's the WhatsApp number. Yes, please do not call that number. Just drop your messages there. I'll read your messages live in a bit. And joining me to discuss this and more is a human capacity development expert. He's actually many things, but let's just stay with human capacity development expert. Yeah. Let's just all pretend that's all he can do. But of course, he's got so much skill set and so much in his portfolio there. I'm talking Chinedum Ewuzie. Thank you so much for making time to be on the show today. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, good to hear you again. And I like that you always bring your A game to the show, because we need all of the A game today. We're looking at something that touches almost everyone. Petrol crisis. Can you still hear me?
Yes. I mean, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's
Okay,
something
great.
that affects everybody, irrespective of the income level, rich or poor or middle income. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all been affected by the recent activities in that industry.
Okay, so thank you for joining us. Well, the tradition here is that we'll look at the big stories, just about 3 of them, the top 3 stories in the world of business very quickly, and then we get into this topic of the day. My very first question for you is obviously going to be how much you're buying petrol in Lagos at the moment. I've already told you how much I'm buying in Port Harcourt. I'd like to know how much you've been buying, what's changed for you, before we get into what the work culture looks like right now with all that's going on. So let's do this segment. I call it Market Watch. Can you go do Market Watch with me right now? Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Let's do this. Okay, so it's Market Watch, and the very first question here looks at the former Kogi State Governor. Yesterday, he walked into the EFCC office, that's the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and he turned himself in. Of course, he's been declared wanted. He had been declared wanted for alleged fraud and corrupt enrichment while in office. What do you think of this decision of this former governor to decide to walk in and turn himself in? Chinedum.
I think it's great. I think that's the decision that he should have made a long time ago. So you see, the thing here is the fight against corruption is essential to improving our investment climate and ensuring efficient use of public resources.
Okay.
So the government has released data showing, increase in oil revenue, increase in revenue sources, but the question now becomes, how do we block these leakages? And it's important that such a person, decides to observe the laws of the land, and this would also boost confidence. I mean, if you see the comments that people have made on the news article, a lot of Nigerians are making a mockery of the whole thing, saying, they don't believe justice is going to come.
Yeah.
And if justice does come in this circumstance, I think that, it's going to send a very strong signal internationally, even domestically too.
Interesting. Now let's look at the second story about the aviation workers. I mean, that the players in that sector met with the vice president recently, and so they've suspended their planned protests. That's for the aviation workers now. And the protest was actually over 50% deductions of the revenue of aviation agencies. And last week, aviation unions blamed the federal government for its refusal to reverse it. And so now they've suspended their planned protest. To imagine that we're already having high airline fares. So imagine what that protest would have done to the entire, work environment. What are your thoughts?
So my first question is, how did the 50% revenue deduction policy even come about in the first place? I mean, how do you expect to deduct 50% from IGL from an industry that is not already doing well?
Yeah.
From the same data that the government has released, you can clearly see that the aviation industry is in decline. But at the same time, we're coming to say that we're going to impose a 50% levy or deduction on top line or internal. That's the way out of it. And I think that the unions were right in expressing, their grievances. And I think that the government is also right in also listening to it. But I think we also need to step back and begin to ask ourselves, some of these policies, where did they come from? I mean, what led to it? And maybe better thinking can be done in setting these numbers rather than, just every try. Someone just woke up and fixed, 50%.
We'll definitely keep an eye on that one, because more importantly, we'd like to know how can we, help, because I know they've received some sort of support from the government before now. So how can we help that sector to ensure that we do not
That's the
pay
question.
with an arm and a leg just to get to the next city?
Exactly.
How do we do that? We're going to keep an eye
Exactly.
on that one. I understand that that meeting that the airline operators had with the vice president ended on a good note. I listened to Alan Onyema, that's the Airpeace boss,
Yes.
talk about the prospects from that meeting. Excuse me.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it really makes sense. I mean, that's it's important for dialogue, and it's also a good sign that the government is willing to dialogue rather than press ahead with things that might not seem beneficial. But like I said, it's also important to ask ourselves how did we arrive at this position in the first place. The industry is in decline. Imposing a 50% deduction is going to worsen things, or, increasing costs, decreasing customers, and really make the whole situation worse. So I think, better thinking has to be done around these things and how we arrive at these numbers.
Okay, now let's look at the next story. Looking at the Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria calling on the federal government to immediately withdraw a controversial circular that they say is looking to discriminate health workers by denying them their lawful leave of absence. The policy, according to them, forces doctors and other healthcare professionals to resign from their positions instead of granting them leave of absence as prescribed by law. Very quickly, what are your thoughts?
So it's another attempt by the government to curb this so-called thing, right?
Brain drain.
On paper, exactly, brain drain. On paper, it might sound nice on the government side, but you can clearly see that on the implementation side that there are gaps.
It's not feasible.
We can't, in an attempt to stop what we feel is important, deny people of their rights. The issue here is not the leave of absence. The issue here is the cost of living. The issue here is faith in the economy. The issue here are bigger macroeconomic issues. Denying doctors a leave of absence is not going to stop anything. It's just going to make the whole thing worse. So I think that, again, the government needs to go back and think about more thoughtful policies and practices to stop, the decline that we're experiencing in certain areas of the economy.
Okay, that's it on Market Watch. Thank you so much, Chinedum. And, it's always good when we have the first thought that comes to your mind when we look at the stories, as we have it all over the various platforms. And of course, we want to keep an eye on all of this, and then really understand. And at some point, we'll break down each of them and truly help empower someone with the right information to make that informed decision. So thank you, Chinedum, for doing Market Watch with me. And so time for Insider Tips, where we're looking at the petrol crisis and how it's shaping the workplace. That question is coming very soon, which is asking you what's going on in Lagos when it comes to petrol, how it's been for you. But we'll do that after the break. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. So you can drop your comments there. If you have thoughts about, perhaps share your experience with me if you're listening to me right now. Tell me what it is that is going on with you since all of the petrol issues started. How have you been getting to work? How have you been doing school runs? How have you been coping? If you run a school, whatever business, how has that affected operations for you? What are you changing? How is it shaping culture for you in your workplace? That's the conversation. Now we're going to go on this break. When we come back, we dive even deeper. Yes, my guest is a human capital development expert, Chinedum Ewuzie. We just did Market Watch, and it's time for Insider Tips, but not after. We'll go for this break. And then you can drop your message on X as well, at Nigeria Info PH. Also on WhatsApp, 0809 030 6416. That's the WhatsApp number. You can drop your messages there. How is the petrol crisis shaping the workplace for you? 0809 030 6416. That's the WhatsApp number. You can drop them. When we get back from the break, we're going to open the phone lines at some point, read out the messages, and have even more interesting conversations. My guest has so much insight to share. If you're a manager, if you're a HR person, he has a lot of ideas on how you can navigate these times and keep the momentum high, morale high in the workplace at a time that everything is affected by the petrol crisis. It's still talking figures on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Choma Ezenwafo is my name, and we'll be... My guest is still here, right? Chinedum, you're still here?
Yes, I am. Yes,
okay, great. Thank you for staying here. And you listening, thank you for staying tuned. We're still looking at the petrol crisis and how it's shaping the workplace. And my very first question for you, Chinedum, is to tell me what it's like for you in Lagos right now. What is it like? What has it been like? You could start from anywhere. Just vent if you want to.
It's quite tough. So first is that the petrol price depends on the fuel station. So I think it ranges from about 990 to as much as 2,200. And this is about 70, 80% increase in the cost of petrol, and in some cases up to 100%. So definitely the cost of everything has gone up. Cost of transportation has gone up. Cost of feeding has gone up. Cost of living in Lagos and general life has gone up. We also had the poor queues. So wherever you had certain fuel stations, the NNPC stations, for example, the blockages, a lot of traffic, a lot of tension. People getting back from work late, a lot of emotional stress on a lot of people. So it's here, as it is, has been in other places in Nigeria, has been a very, very, very challenging period.
How about the workplace? How have you seen this affect, productivity in the workplace, even engagement?
It has regular schedules. So people, coming late. People have to leave earlier because, it takes a longer time to get home. You're struggling for transportation. Where you're not struggling for transportation, you're on the road and there's more traffic. So, people's work hours really have shortened. And worse is the emotional stress. So imagine you come to work, you're not sure how it is you're going to get home. You're not sure the time it's going to take you to get home, how long it's going to take you to get home. So apart from the financial impact, the emotional impact on staff and also business owners, people who run their own businesses, rising costs. The cost of everything has gone up. Cost of power has gone up. Cost of powering your generator has gone up. So it has created a very challenging environment to deal with all those variables in organizations.
What strategies are companies employing to ensure their workforce remains efficient, especially, they too are dealing with it. Running a business, keeping the lights on in a business area right now is causing an arm and a leg indeed. What strategies are you seeing them use at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've seen some organizations implement flexible working hours. So companies are trying to avoid putting their staff during peak periods. So the hours between 7 and 8 and probably between 4 and 5. So some companies are saying, for example, if you can come in earlier before 7, you can close by 3. So which means if you leave your house earlier to get to work, you avoid the peak hours and you close earlier by 3 o'clock. So that those who have regular working hours. Some people have extended it. If, for example, if I have a supermarket, don't come early, come by 9 or by 10 and close later after our working hours. Then, of course, we have the hybrid work. Some organizations that can are implementing hybrid. So rather than, instead of coming 5 days a week, you can come 2 times a week, or you can come twice a week, or you can take 1 day off and come Saturday. So people are playing, with the regular work schedule to see how they can fit into the new environment. And people are investing a lot in digital tools and infrastructure. People are buying internet access. People are having to buy laptops. Those who can buy laptops. But it's important to note, though, that it's only for industries that have this flexibility. So, that Nigeria is primarily driven by the agri sector. And for the agri sector, it's a bit hard to implement,
the hybrid system.
With the plants. Yes, and so it's a bit easy for them to implement. But what we're also seeing is the rise of e-commerce. So people, rather than own restaurants, paying for shops and all of that, they work from home and deliver. So if you check all these apps, you've seen all kinds of companies coming up, small businesses, focused on niche areas, supermarkets, pharmacies are all going the e-commerce route, which is interesting to see.
Have you noticed, how many companies are really embracing remote work? Hybrid, yeah, they can manage, but abstract remote work. How many Nigerian companies have you seen embracing
that's
that?
the thing. So in services sector, it's easier. If your business is or knowledge areas, the knowledge sector, this is easier. But we are primarily we're primarily into agriculture. So the stats say we employ the industry employs between 50 to 60%. Remote work for agri business, I don't know how that will work. Maybe for the supply of it, yes, but in terms of the hard planting, the planting, harvesting, transportation, somebody still needs to do it. So our economy is not at the point where we can reap the full rewards of remote work. Yeah. So we still have to be on the road.
How sustainable are these trends? When you look at what you just shared, are they sustainable?
Well, we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice, but to make them sustainable. We can't. Of course, petrol is what 1,000 and every 1,100 naira per liter. Minimum wage is what 70,000. People are arguing, do you want to pay 70, want to pay 60? That's what 70 liters a month. You understand? So your salary is less than a full tank for some cars. So we don't have a choice. We have to make it work. We have to make it work. We don't have a viable substitute. Yes, and then they're proposing the gas thing, but then again, how many cars? Once the conversion, we think next year or two, how many cars are going to move to that? So we don't have a choice. We have to work.
Now let's look at low income.
Yes.
Okay, now let's look at low income brackets. Those within the low income bracket. Yeah. How are they coping? Like before now, a lot of the monies that's given to these people in the bracket, they end up spending them on transportation already. And if we begin to look at this from the very first time we had subsidy is gone last year till now, I don't think there's really anything left for people within that low income bracket.
Yeah.
How have you seen people within this bracket coping with this increased transportation cost? And
it's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, you need to go to the bus stops to see the queues of people who are waiting for transportation. Some are waiting for transportation to come. Some are waiting for affordable transportation to come. You understand? And, you can imagine the rush it takes the rush that people have to go through, to get on these buses or kekes or whatever it is that they use. So, yes, I think that's the worst hit. That's definitely the worst hit. And unfortunately for them, some of the jobs that, many of us who are in that bracket hold, it can't be remote.
It can't be remote.
I mean, you can't be remote.
You have to be there. You have to be there to manage it. You have to be there to clean the office. You have to be there. You can't do it remotely.
Yes.
So what should help look
people
like?
Sleep in the offices.
What should
people
support?
So organizations can. So I know for one, there's a guy who is the security man. I think somewhere in Lekki. So his office has provided accommodation for a couple of him and his colleagues. So they are in the office for a couple of days. So rather than come to work and go back every day, they can spend a couple of days in the office. So I mean that would help. That would really cushion it. I mean, imagine that you're able to spend 3 nights in the office. That just cuts off the rotation. So organizations need to think about this kind of thing. If you have staff that have to be around, you need to be able to provide accommodation for them to stay. It helps you when you're sure that they're there on time, you're sure that they close on time, you're sure of increased security, you're sure of increased satisfaction, and you also show to your employees that you're also thinking about them. So these are some of the things that organizations are already doing to help this situation.
All right, the phone lines are open at this point. I would like to get your thoughts. If you're listening to me, you've heard the guest, the reality. We just pretty much just talked about what the reality looks like right now and giving names to it and just trying to touch a Pandora box. And we hope we do not open it too much. I would like to get your thoughts, your experience more especially. If you work in an office, if you run a business, if you're a freelancer whatever it is, how is the petrol crisis shaping the workplace for you? 0817-923-0002. You can also call 0817-923-0003. How is the petrol crisis shaping the workplace for you? What has changed for you since, all of the NNPC price, whatever it is that they are saying that they are selling, that's not even what you're buying. You're going to be buying way, way higher. So the realities have been altered in a very, very, very disturbing way. And I'd like to hear what it is you've been experiencing. Yes, you can also drop your messages on WhatsApp, 0809-030-6416. That's the WhatsApp number. I'll be getting there in a bit, but first, I'll pick my first call now, and then we get on WhatsApp, and then we get on Facebook, and then on X. So yes, you can drop your messages there. We're live there. We're live on Facebook at Nigeria Info PH. We are live on YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. We are also on X. You can drop your messages on X as well at Nigeria Info PH. I have my first call coming in from Ubimini. Ezekiel calls me from Ubimini. Hello, good afternoon, Ezekiel.
Good afternoon, Madam Chief.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
As a farmer, Madam Chief, the fuel had cost me more expenses in hiring the people that worked for me, especially the means of transportation. I hired motorcycles depending on the distance. Madam Chief, I think by February, March, April, and May, we were selling one basin of Gary at the rate of 15, 18, and 20,000 naira. But as I'm talking to you now, we are now selling a basin of Gary 11,000, 12,000, and 12,500. Now, the commodity in my community is being reduced. Why is the fuel price still going high? It is confusing and frustrating, Madam Chi. I don't really understand how the farmers in particular would have their product or produce and transport it to the urban areas. So it is really, really affecting us, the farmers. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. So sorry, all that you have to be, all you have to take on there. You want to respond to that, Chinedum? You had a caller.
Yeah, I mean, we just really mentioned it. I mean, he's very right. For the agri industry, you have to move. Products have to move. Society has to move food from one point to the other. So they are really, 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 really affected. What are the possible solutions? So the government is touting this thing, moving transportation companies to use gas, right? But it's a bit more than putting the gas in the fuel station. We need to educate people on what the benefits are. We need to reduce the cost of the conversion kits. The kits are about 700,000 to 1
and they
million.
sound long term. They do not sound short term.
Exactly, that's the thing. So there has to be not a long term thing. So there has to be a short term solution for reducing this cost. There has to be. If not, this thing is going to continue indefinitely.
Yeah, 0817-923-0003 is also a number you can call. Call me up and let me know what's been your experience. How is the petrol crisis shaping the workplace for you? How is the workplace right now? Perhaps your company is giving you that remote, the go ahead to do remote work and work from home. Are you maximizing it? Is it even helping? Are you end up spending all of it on data? Some people tell me how much they have to recharge these days. I mean, the data aspect of things. Is the remote really remote? Is it really helping? Because you're going to end up spending what you'd have spent on transportation, buying data to do the work. Is that mathing? I would like to hear your thoughts. 0817-923-0003. That's the number to call. Now let's go to WhatsApp. I have personally increased my transportation costs and drastically reduced my feeding. and other expenditures, yet things are getting very tough day in and day out, even as there is no end to it at sight. That's from Ojogu Ojun Justice. Thank you for your message on WhatsApp. Now let's go to Facebook now. Facebook, okay, I'll have to take a while to open that and then read your messages there. Yes, at Nigeria Info PH, we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Go on.
Somebody actually suggested something. So, for example, imagine that a farmer transports tomatoes, right, from Jos to Lagos, right? Somebody was actually saying that what needs to happen is that the manufacturers, the farmers need to find ways to process. So rather than try and move fresh products through the supply chain, there has to be some sort of processing. So, for example, tomatoes, if you turn into puree, first, it lasts longer. Two is that you can ship larger volumes. You can ship larger volumes through the same supply chain. So the point is that we have to move to some form of primary processing of food products. So one, of course, it gives you longer shelf life, so you don't have to move as quickly as you harvest. Two is that the volume of what you're pushing through the transportation system reduces. So those are some of the things that have to be done. You can't push your raw product through the packing system. It will spoil, one, two, and it's too expensive. So there has to be some form of pre-processing of any product, even if it's as much as even drying. If you even decide to dry the vegetables or dry the carrots or some drying, it reduces the quantity and preserves it for a longer period.
Now, that's for food. You've also talked about for transportation. But how about other things like, hospital costs? Someone said, whatever you do, do not fall sick this period. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. But I know these guys are coming up. So there are these telemedicine apps that are coming up online right now. So you don't have to
go to the hospital.
You don't have to visit the hospital. So you can get primary care at least. You can get consultation on primary care on your phone. So, the doctor can advise you, for example, come to the hospital, go for the test, present the test results, you can scan it and you can send it to me. That's maybe if I was a doctor. So these are some of the things that, they are taking off now, and I think that we need to look at those things more. You don't have to go to the doctor. You don't have to go to hospital, for primary health care. Or, secondary level, there has to be something really serious.
Okay, now let's look at Facebook. You have a message on Facebook from Chikodiri Destiny Onye Chigoziri. He says, what I understand about the whole issue is federal government and Dangote is playing politics with the fuel. We're not really looking at the real cocoa of the petrol crisis. We're looking at its impact, how it's affected us, the workplace, and you as a worker, you as a business owner. Let's just stay on that for a while, because for some days now, we've had Andrew on Morning Crossfire look at all of these issues with the experts and players in that industry. We've also had Kalada do that as well. But now let's stay on the workplace and how it's shaping the culture. And I'm asking now, Chinedum, do you see this giving a permanent shape to how we work in Nigeria?
Definitely.
What would it look like? What would it look like? What do you see this looking like?
So first is that employers are going to become more result-oriented. So you know how it is where you have large pool of employees, because of rising costs, you're going to be very finicky about who you employ. You need to be sure of the value that the person is bringing into the organization. Secondly, even employers themselves want to be sure about what are the benefits that the company offers ahead of time. You don't just take any job anymore. You don't take any job anymore. Also, shorter distances. Distance becomes a key criteria in choosing the kind of job that you would do. In Lagos, for example, those days you can live in Agege and work on the island. That's no more. Nobody's going to be looking for jobs if on that distance. So if you live in Agege, you want to be looking for a job as close to you as possible, because your transportation costs, or even your fuel costs, or even the cost of maintaining your car can wipe out your entire salary. So preferences are also going to be changing. Of course, remote work for those who can is going to come up a lot more. People are going to be exploring ways through which they can keep their staff at different locations. commuting. That's going to happen. A lot of that's going to happen. So I think these are some of the things that would be changing the workforce going forward.
What advice would you give to employers and business owners who are looking to maintain high morale and employee well-being in times like this?
First is a lot of people now need access to mental health care. So you know how it is that we provide physical health care hospitals. We need mental health care. Mental health issues are becoming a big problem. Like you say, many of us are working, we don't have a map. So we need access to health care. We need employers to acknowledge the circumstances and peculiarities that the staff are facing. We need to have open discussions on solutions. I don't think any expert can sit on the phone or sit on the radio and recommend for each organization what they should do. Organizations need to have an open forum where they can discuss with their staff what are the options that we can have or we can bring about to help you reduce this burden, this emotional and financial burden. I mentioned a company who is providing just a room accommodation for some of the staff, and that is cutting transportation costs by a week, and that's significant. So these kind of discussions need to happen at the so experts can come and but the discussion needs to be had on what are the possible options. Are you going to change the work hours rather than fixed work hours where everybody is on the road at the peak time? Are we going to resume earlier and close later, or resume later and close later? Are we going to have a space where certain of our staff can stay back and work? Are we going to implement, work from home on certain hours of the day? Are we going to have some fuel allowance? Are we going to carpool? So that's another thing organizations are also doing. They're also encouraging staff to carpool. So if you're shopping between Lagos and VI and Agege, how many of you, Mr. K, you would bring your car on Monday, or the four of the remaining of you get into his car and come together and so carpooling. So these are discussions that have to come at the organizational level. Yeah. No experts can really recommend this, but these discussions need to happen.
Interesting. Let's talk about the gaps now. What are the gaps that you've seen this open? Like, what are those gaps in the workplace that situations like this Petrol crisis has revealed?
Yes, so employers, managers need to be more sensitive. Staff, people generally are going through quite a lot. Takes you rush to get to work. You don't even know how you're going to go home. You're not even sure what transportation cost is going to be next week. Yes, so there's a lot of certainties that you can't be an employer or a manager who is insensitive to how the emotions of your staff or people who work for you. You can't. If not, people will leave. People will leave you on your register. So you need to have a lot of emotional intelligence at this time. Gone are the days where you just employ somebody, pay the person delivers and goes. That people are dealing with a lot of things. Like you're not going to do the job yourself. So emotional intelligence has to be a competency. Business owners, managers have to succeed in this business environment.
Interesting. Yeah, this phone lines are still open, 0817-923-0007. You can also call 0817-923-0009. The WhatsApp number, 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. That's the WhatsApp number. You can call 0817-923-0002. And the question is very simple. How the petrol crisis is affecting your workplace? How is it affecting the workplace for you? How has it been? What's your own experience since all of this started? And I have a call coming in now from, Korea. It's calling in from, let's see now. Okay, I think we lost that call. We had Korea calling in earlier. Korea, you can actually call back. I'm ready to take your call. Okay, 0817-923-0002. And I have a message here on Facebook. And it says, we Nigerians are good at adjusting. We are already adjusting to it. Ogu Ojun just sent in that one as well. Are we adjusting? Are we? Sometimes you say you're adjusting. Are you adjusting well? Are you adjusting badly? What's your take?
The numbers don't suggest that we're adjusting properly. Our economy is not growing fast. You can clearly see certain areas of the economy are slowing down. Some are picking up, right? So I think last quarter, I think we did about 3.1%. 3.1%, whereas our population is growing at more than 5, 6, or 7%. For us to make any meaningful development or change in Nigeria, we have to be doing at least 9 to 10% per year. And we're at 3%, which means we need to do at least 3 times what we're doing currently. So we're not adjusting well. Let's not think that because everybody's quiet, we're not adjusting well, and we can clearly see it in our pockets, we can clearly see it in the stress, we can clearly see it in the performance of our economy. So we're not adjusting very well.
All right, I have a call coming in now. Corey calling in from Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining us. You called back. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for calling back.
Yes, your thoughts.
I am asking your guest, by way of his experience and what we are facing presently in fuel, how is 2025 is going to be if inflation comes emergency? Was it an emergency that inflation will come, or what we are facing now? Let it give us detail what we are experiencing in 2025. Thank you very much, please.
Okay, you heard that, right?
So he's asking if we continue at this pace, what's going to happen in 2026? That's the question.
Yes.
Okay, so what's happening now is inflation is at statistically at over 30%. So what, 32, 33, 34%, right?
Yeah.
If we repeat this scenario again, that is another 33%, another 33% in 2 years. Cost of living is going to multiply by these 2 or 3. That's what's going to happen. Okay? If change doesn't come, that's what's going to happen. We're going to see increased devaluation of the naira. That's the reality. Well, that's what we're facing if the change doesn't come. But the question to answer is the change coming? And there's a bit of indices suggesting that things are moving forward. The GDP has moved to 3.something%. Increase in revenue. Revenue seems to be increasing, which is why we're saying that these things about dealing with corruption has to pass a strong message across that, all these leakages need to stop. So if we repeat what happened last year, another 3 years, another 2 or 3 years, whatever it is, you're buying petrol now, cost of food is going to multiply by 2 or by 3. But what are the chances of that happening? We're clearly seeing, some developments that is happening in certain sectors. The energy sector is growing, agriculture is growing, services is growing. Those are sectors that are growing in the economy, and we're hoping that this growth is maintained or increased as the year goes on.
Okay, now we have a message from on WhatsApp. It says, "Good afternoon. My name is Eda Ndidi Happy from Ahoda. Fuel price 1,350 naira per liter. I'm a bus driver from Ahoda to Mbiama is 1,000 to 1,300. Some I think he's saying that some days your motor can't full. Like, I understand what he's trying to say. Like, he's not like you have a full, you're carrying a full bus, the to and fro. So it's quite a difficult one now. Now, as we look to wrap up, can you tell me what it to take businesses to build a more resilient workforce that can adapt to what we are seeing happening? And like you said, there isn't any end in sight at this point.
So first is businesses need to identify the good areas. The economic structure favors certain industries over others. At this point in time, any business owner, you can't be ignorant of what's happening in the economy. Take the GDP numbers, look at it and ask yourself, what side of the fence am I in? Am I on the side of the fence where my industry is growing, or am I on the side of the fence where my industry is declining? If my industry is declining, you need to make a shift. First and foremost. If not, you're on a sinking ship. Okay? So you need to position yourself to the sectors of the industry that are growing. And I mentioned a couple of those ones that are growing. Second thing is you need to initiate employee well-being and intentional strategy. The employee well-being has become an important factor, and this well-being has to do with mental health, awareness acquire and use to manage your staff. People are dealing with a lot of things as at now. Now, I haven't necessarily said that everything is bleak. Is that the thing is that the economy is taking shape, but you need to know the shape that the economy is taking. If not, you might just be on a sinking ship. Know what how our economy is performing, and jump into those areas where the government is providing support, and removing the obstacles to growth. So those are two things I would say. Also, think about how you can automate your processes. How can you automate your sales? How can you automate your marketing? How can you automate your operations, your customer service? How can I get to your customers? Do I have to wait for people to come to me, or can I ship my product where they are? So businesses now are pushing their products to where they are. Pharmacies are pushing their products to the end user. Restaurants are pushing their products to the end user. Farm products, people are starting businesses where they're pushing farm products, bananas, vegetables, tomatoes, to the end user, so people don't have to come out. So there has to be that shift. You as a business owner, manager, you also need to think, how can you take advantage of these e-commerce opportunities and push your products to your end user?
Now, that's for businesses. On the other hand, how about the career professional who has a family, who has school fees to pay, who has rent to pay? Oh my goodness.
Take the GDP, look at the numbers. Am I in an organization that is in a growing industry, or am I in an organization that the industry is declining? That's the question you need to ask.
Can you mention those industries that the thing is growing? Say it again very loudly. Let's hear.
So the numbers are there. Agriculture is growing. Agriculture is growing really fast. Services is growing. Mining is growing. Manufacturing is growing. Is growing. Finance is growing. So look at those things. The point I'm making is that we're in an economy where you can't remain ignorant. You can't remain. You have to know what's going on. You have to look at the numbers. You have to understand the numbers and begin to make investment decisions and make decisions on the kind of companies that you want to work. So first, know that, right?
Yeah.
Look out also for companies that have well-being, as part of their system. Companies that engage with their employees, because the economy might get better, might get worse. You need to be able to have an organization that would take into consideration your opinion and your suggestions on how they can make workplace better. Those are some of the things that you need to look out for. Money is important, but we can clearly see how money can vanish, with transportation costs and all of that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chinedum Ewuzie, there, human capital development expert. And like I said, many, many things. He's also a business development consultant, by the way. I just needed to say that, Chinedum, sorry. But thank you for making time and sharing all of this very interesting insight with me. Thank you so much, with us, not just me, but I feel like it's me. Thank you for making time for this.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes. Okay, so the parting words, they are so super powerful. I'm going to be making an article out of that. I post on Substack. I try to do that every week. And so the article of this conversation is going to be ready and out. And I hope you pick it and look at it and help you make informed decision. That's all about it. And so that's talking figures for today. Remember, we don't just talk figures, we shape them. And I hope we've helped you shape this one. In case I didn't, give me another chance to do this next week with you. Yes, please. 2 p.m. every Wednesday, Talking Figures comes your way on 92.9 Nigeria Info. And we've done this one. We're going to do it again, even better, next week. Choma is my name. Choma is Nwafo.
Real stories, real